Welcome to the Monday Fan Zone show. Obviously, I'm taking over for Phil today. Uh, we'll get your comments in, guys, about the Portsmouth game. That's what we're here to talk about. We've got two big games coming up this week as well, both away. It's just interesting to get some of your views and comments coming in, so we can talk about, how we're doing so far in the season. If it was up to me, and I'd say I think we're drawing a bit too many games that I would like us to be drawing. I think I would like for us to, pick up some more stable wins. And it's some of those games, on stats we dominate against Portsmouth, but in reality, it's the end result that matters, and we didn't beat them. We should have probably, but unfortunately we didn't. It's just one of those games, but it's been one of those games for the past 6 weeks now where come away with draws, and we said we needed to beat those teams. So get your comments in down below and let me know what you guys want to talk about in tonight's show. Like I say, I'm filling in for Phil tonight. I guess we'll start with Ramsey. Good goal from him. Good build-up play for the goal. It's one of those things where we seem to be scoring quite nice goals. But like I said, at the end of the day, it wasn't enough. But if we take some positives, it's good that he came back into the team sheet and he was impactful, at least for the part where he scored the goal. Did he do enough? I think you say a lot of players did end up doing enough, but again, it's that lacking final third that cost us, and we conceded a goal that we don't want to concede because we're not really scoring more than one goal game at the moment, apart from Swansea the other week. But I don't know. It's a tricky situation because I think we have Hull coming up this week and another team I can't quite think off the top of my head. But I know we have two away games where, if you look at teams like Coventry, Middlesbrough, they're starting to slip away, starting to run ahead with it a little bit, and we're getting into that situation with the Christmas time coming up with those games. It's going to be 2 games a week almost, where we are gonna, start seeing us either make or break a little bit over the next, I'd say, 2 months from now in the new year. We'll see how we do. Like I said, get your comments in, guys, and I'll put them up and we can talk about what you guys want to say. If there's anything you want to talk about the games coming up or the Portsmouth game, do let me know in the comments. I'm trying to think a few other bits to mention. Do you guys think Marty's, doing it right? Do you think he's coming? Do you think he's doing enough to get us promoted? I think a lot of people have said, myself included, that it's going to be a tough season this season. Playoffs, I think, is probably the best we can do this season. I think, I think that's kind of what it's shaping up for, isn't it? Playoffs for us. I don't think we're going to be top 2. I don't think we're going to bring in any players, and that looming threat of, are we going to get a points deduction at some point in the season? Who knows really? That it might happen sooner than later. We never know really if that's going to come and bite us in the back. But only time will tell on that one. We can only play what's in front of us, and I think so far, I wouldn't say disappointed because we're not losing the games, but I would definitely say a bit underwhelming. Like I say, against Portsmouth, if you ask me, a team that's been promoted from League One last season, they've only just, like I say, come into the Championship. They're sat 14th, at least they were before playing us. So they're doing okay by their accounts, considering they've just been promoted. But as far as we were doing, as far as we should be doing, I don't think we gave them really much to complain about. Like I say, we had a lot of dominated possession, shots on target. Even that was some of my biggest gripes, is we're not really shooting on target as much as we could be. But we kind of did against Portsmouth. We kind of did have more shots, but we just didn't convert. Some key talking points, like I say, guys, get your comments in, and then I can pull them up. So let's see. Jordan here is saying, let's see if I can put it up. There we go. All depending on the points deduction and the January transfer window. I agree with you, Jordan. I think there's a lot that could happen, with this points deduction that's looming. When will we get it? Will it be towards the end of the season? I assume It depends on how they want to stiff us over. You know, they might see us now and go, well, let's give them a point deduction now because then we've got to scrape, we've got a battle to get back into the top six. Because by the teams that came down, us, Southampton, Ipswich, it's been messy from I'd say all of us, and the other two especially. You know, they're not going to be overly happy with their start to the season, but all it takes is a few wins in a row. Like I say, it's the time of the year where we're going to have to play 2 games a week. I mean, it's 3 games a week for us this week, from Saturday to Saturday. And like I say, January transfer window, I don't think we're going to be doing much in the January transfer window, to be honest with you. I think if we were going to be doing stuff, we would have done it already. I think we're kind of just stuck with the players we've got because I don't think many of them are going to go. You know, if you look at people like Dak, for example, we know he's not been that good. His time was what's his 4th year now, and his contract runs out, doesn't it? His contract runs out at the end of this season. So who's really going to be forking into? I mean, he's going to want the same wages. So who's going to really buy him? Let's see a few more comments. Patrick here saying, let me get his comment up. Should get a points deduction the day after Man City get theirs. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's some kind of system with FIFA, I guess, or whatever it is, the body that works for football. I don't know who controls it, whoever it is these days. I don't know if they do kind of systematically plan it, and when the other teams get it, we will get it too. Different leagues, I'm not too sure. But yeah, we could be getting a points deduction same time as them, but when's the Man City one going to ever happen, you know? But yeah, back to the January transfer window, you've got to look at, are we going to sell players? Because we're not going to bring in too many. Like, I mean, we had to bring in loan players, and I'd say so far, Jordan James looked very solid for us. Definitely been making an impact in the field. I said it in mine and Reedy's tactics talk show this week that he's been making way more of an impact than Winks has. Looking way more clinical in the final third, way more aggressive, and you can kind of tell with Winks, does he really want to be here? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But it's kind of a rock and a hard place situation for some of these players and Marty. And like I say, I don't think it's Marty's fault at all that we're playing this way 100%. I think look, he's kind of been forced into the players he's got, and he's kind of got to choose between some tough ones. So we've been saying all season, it's still question, is Vestergaard and Fires the best centre-back pairing? And in this league, it should be. It was 2 years ago, but we've seen him make a handful of mistakes already that has led to us, you know, only getting a point from some of these games. And for me, it's just vital. We're at a point in the season now where the next 2 months is really going to show us how we are going to shape up for the season, because we're going to have to play, like I say, 2 games a week. So it's going to be a lot of player changes, you know, and I guess we could talk about the strikers as well. Carranza, Daka, and Ayew. Who do you guys play? With Reedy in our tactics talk show last week, I said stick Ayew up there because he had a pretty good international break for. I don't want to say it wrong. I think it's Cameroon or Ghana. I'm not quite sure. Do correct me on that one. And actually, I think Patrick's just said it before I go on. Daka could be going AFCON, could be a blessing. Well, he won't be the only one, will he? He'll be Daka, Ayew, Fatawu, I guess. He'll be a massive one to miss out on. I don't know if there's any other, you know, African-based players that are playing for us at the moment. Bobby Reed, Jamaican. I don't know if he's going. I don't know how they do it. Excuse my geography. Not very good at that one. But if you guys can let me know some of the players that will be going for AFCON, that would be a huge loss for us in January. We might have to bring in some players, but they're not gone. You know, it's just the way that AFCON works. They're not leaving us. They're just, you know, it happens with the rugby all the time where players do have to go into national duty whilst the club's still playing. It's just one of those things, you know, we still have to pay their wages at the end of the day, even if, like say, if Daka goes all the way to the final, it could be a 6-week period without some of these players. I know Daka's just an example. Andy Medhurst say, nobody will pay Winks the money. He is on here, or he would have gone by now. Yeah, I mean, we've seen his wages. Like I say, it's 80 grand a week, which is double what he was on at Spurs. Pretty decent contract. I think he's one of these players that is going to run out of contract at the end of this year, if I'm not mistaken. I think he is someone that's contract runs out at the end of this season. And correct me if I'm wrong again, but again, he'll be one that goes for free. Probably pick up the same Paley paycheck, you know, probably an 80 grand a week contract somewhere like Brentford. You know, that was rumoured in the summer, but Again, we're probably looking at, we want 5-10 million for him, about what we paid probably, but clubs won't pay for it. Not for a player like Winks, really. They won't really fork out, especially when the wage bill's high. But we know that's been an issue that we've had. Look at some of his plays, Samari even. People say, he's had good spells, bad spells, but if you look at his time as a whole over Leicester season on loan when we got relegated, what's really done for us impactful other than take, that 70, 80 grand a week? I wouldn't say too much. Let's see if I get some more comments up here. Jordan again saying, Jake Evans, he's just signed a professional contract today, I believe, for the club. So we'll see him getting featured into the team a bit more. Maybe so, I say when AFCON comes rolling around, or even just in general, because the strikers have been pretty lackluster. And Carranza, he's one to talk about. What do you think to him so far? Personally, a little bit underwhelmed. I didn't expect much from him. I'd never heard of him before, to be honest with you. But give these players time, I guess. And when it's a season-long loan, they kind of have to hit the ground running. Otherwise, it's like, say, why not pick a Ayew or Daka if, these new players that we brought in on loan aren't doing it? Someone's just said something about AFCON. Ghana not qualified, Safatu and Ayew won't be going. Okay. Well, it's good for us, I guess. Probably not great for them. They probably would have liked to go, but I'm definitely not complaining if Fatu ain't going. Keep him fit and ready to go. Got to solve the striker crisis based on 1 goal in 10 games with team ain't good enough. No, it absolutely isn't, Tony. That is, I think, our biggest issue. And it shows on the pitch. When was the last time a striker scored for us? Have they even scored for us this season? I can't remember Ayew, Daka, Carranza, any of them scoring. Ayew maybe scored one towards the start of the season, but Carranza and Daka definitely haven't scored for us yet. So we do need to sort out 1 goal in 10 games is definitely not good enough. It's not something that it's not going to get us promoted. Excuse me. I did say Ipswich and Southampton, they'll come good eventually. They'll start playing some better football than what they are now. That's inevitable, really. They probably will do. And even Sheffield United, at some point, they'll probably start playing some decent football. And you've got some teams in there, like Coventry, as much as we all hate to say it, they're, having a blinder of a season so far. Middlesbrough up there as well, having a great start to the season. And Middlesbrough is a team you probably wouldn't have expected to be up there. Coventry, top 6 fodder, really. We knew that they would be in and around there. Middlesbrough, a bit of a wet lettuce. Sometimes they have a good season, sometimes not. Always ends pretty mid for them. But so far, start of the season, they're sat in second. Cannot complain from their point of view. Tony's all got to get points this week, or we lose touch with Coventry. Yeah, it's just saying that's a horrible angle. Then, because I'm reading comments. Yeah, we've got to start catching up because we will start slipping away. Like I say, it's 2 games this week, which is 6 points, and if we draw both of them, that's 2 points for us. And the way Coventry and Middlesbrough and the other teams around us are going, your West Broms and that, they'll start. They will win. They're not going to lose every game. You've said it so many times before. Everyone has. When we play teams and we drawing 3 games in a row is the same as losing 2 and winning 1 at the end of the day. So, excuse me, there's no benefit to us drawing this many games. We should be trying to kill them off, because I'd rather us try and kill off games and maybe lose the game and you'd be a bit annoyed, but then you bounce back next week. And then I said we'd win 4-0 against Portsmouth, but we're just that unclinical at the moment that we're struggling to draw against them. We're struggling to keep a lead. Against a team like Portsmouth, when you play the teams that are, I say championship veterans, like Hull have been in it for quite a while, Premier League before that, they've not come up from League One. They've been relegated and then stuck around. Stoke and all that we'll have to face at some point. These teams are just on a decent level in the Championship, and we will start to either win or lose games, because if we keep drawing, and I like Marty, I'm definitely not calling for his head at all. I do think he might need to look at the squad a little bit and change things up a little bit more than what we have been doing. I think it's a little bit rinse and repeat. But again, that's probably how he wants to play. It's how the board wants to play. Probably it's how the players want to play. I know we're not all so keen on this passing football, myself included, but I know some of you guys like it, and I think it worked, tenfold when it was under Enzo. But you can see this season that we definitely don't have the quality. We definitely don't have the players that want to be. I mean, even look at Fies 2 years ago. We know they probably wanted to go, but he was content. But probably sticking around for another. This being his 4th season now. It's got to be. He's probably getting annoyed. He probably wants to go. We know he wants to go. So how bothered does he look on the pitch? Who knows? Some players, same with Winks, Daka. But they're these players that are taking wages and taking spots in the team that we can't afford to, pass on. We can't bring in a new striker of the same kind of caliber as Daka in the wage sense and the how much it costs to sign him, because A, we're not Premier League anymore, so we can't afford those kind of wages really. And B, who's going to come to Leicester when we've got that in our locker, I guess, at the moment. It's like, well, we've got Daka and whatnot. I guess, who's going to come and say, well, am I really going to play here? And again, unless the money talks, which obviously it does, but who knows? Let's have a look. Mary here. Even a scoreboard couldn't cope Saturday night. I mean, I'm not quite sure what you mean there, Mary. If you can elaborate, I'm sure you guys that went probably know. I assume it was having technical difficulties. Nick here, let's read his comment. Everyone's saying the second half was crap again. The players were told to play a certain way and use pace in behind, which we didn't do. It looks like some of the players think they know better. Again, that's what even Cifuentes said a couple of weeks ago now, just before international break, that complacency, we think we're better than the teams we're playing. We're never better than the teams we're playing. We did it under, I think maybe it was Cooper last season, where we were struggling against, I think, a League 1 or 2 side. And it's like the lads that are out there, they're way better than what they should be doing. And they were getting complacent, arrogant. They think they're better than what they are. And the fact is, if they were better than what they are, they'd be at the Barcelonas, Man Cities, Real Madrids, XYZ, whoever it is these days that's up there. They'd be there, but they're not. They're at little old Leicester, I suppose, in the Championship, so they should pull up their trousers, even though it's full of those golden coins that they're taking from the club, and start playing like they actually want to be here, if you ask me. Tony, a lot of comments coming in. It's great to see. Got to get the points. Loose touch curve. Yeah, read that one. It's a little bit more difficult on the phone and the computer. Let's have a look. Brad here. Let's see. The successful players we signed were always the ones no one heard of. Big signings have been failures overall. Yeah, I mean, there's different levels to it. Obviously, back in Championship, we're talking 10 odd years ago now. When we did get promoted, you had Javier Perez, Anthony Knockout, Vardy, Nugent, all those kind of players. Richie Delat, I remember those days. Kasper Schmeichel, even. All those players that have been brought in from nowhere. Danny Simpson as well. Danny Drinkwater. All those players, all great players for us when we won the Premier League. Kante came in. Nobody heard of him really, and he obviously went on to have one of the best careers you could have as a footballer. And when that happens, it's great. The model does slightly change, which I think we didn't change it enough. I still think we were trying to find the 1 in 1,000 kind of players. But for me, when you are like top 6 in the Premier League, you do have to kind of sign some of the better players to compete. And I felt like we were trying to compete in the wrong areas. We signed Daka, and I believe we signed him away from Liverpool. Liverpool were trying to sign him, and we offered him way more wages, hence why he came to us. And, it was kind of a swing in the dark a little bit, because we obviously had okay time at Austria, but we're not Liverpool. We couldn't, really tenure that kind of signing, but we did. And you could see that it just hasn't paid off. It's happened with so many players before. Ibora, Silva, we have signed so many like big name players across Europe. There we are. We signed so many of these big name players across Europe that just didn't work out for us, and it has cost us, unfortunately. I mean, Slimani, again, another one. We needed to do it, though. We kind of needed to sign some of these bigger. Me off a little bit. There we go. Sorry about technical difficulties. Let's read some more comments. Terry, a lot of those players were not wanted anywhere else and had a lot to prove. I mean, if you're talking about your Danny Drinkwaters, your Kantes, Merezes, they were, like I say, swinging the dot. They were cheap. Even like Vardy back in the day, I know it was £1 million, but for a non-league player, it's a lot of money, but it wasn't really that expensive in football terms. Kante and Merez definitely weren't. Danny Drinkwater, no. Richie Delat, no. Danny Simpson, no. Wes Morgan, veteran at Forest and a veteran at Leicester. Robert Huth, literally, Stoke didn't even want to play him back in the Premier League, but then we signed him. Christian Fuchs, again, it was actually quite a decent signing. I think most people said, wow, it's the best signing we've seen at the club at the time, obviously, minus Cambiasso as well. I think Fuchs was just afterwards, and we signed him the year we won the Prem. So, and I think Nick here is just saying the only goal we scored in the first 10 games. Let me see, there we go. It was IU versus Oxford. So thank you, Nick, for reminding us all of the one goal in 10 games we scored as a striker. Mary saying at the King Power Stadium Saturday night, it froze on the 86th minute. It went off apparently. But there you go. I'm not sure too much was missed. At least, I mean, you would have seen it on the pitch anyway if something happened. But yeah, I mean, if there's anything else you guys want to say, because we're coming towards the end of the show now. I guess my biggest thing is these next two games, the minimum. What do we guys expect? For me, it's 2 wins this week. I think we've been way too lackluster, and we need to go up a gear. We need to change what we're doing. We need to move on from the. I am going to call it bad results because I don't think drawing 5 out of 6 is good for us. As much as it's not a loss, if we carried on like if you drew every game of the season, you're at a point where you sat mid-table. Really, it's not many points, and I think we've drawn the second most amount. I think Southampton have drawn just 1 game more than us, and it shows because they're not winning anything either. We won quite a few towards the start of the season as we should have. And then we're drawing to teams where it's a bit like, oh, come on, guys, we shouldn't be drawing to these teams. Coventry and Oxford, for me, the only exception games where it's like, yeah, Coventry having a good start. So take a draw against them, and Oxford, we had a red card from Ramsey. But then the rest, like Portsmouth, there was no real reason. There's no excuse for drawing to them, really, if you ask me. Let's see some more comments. Andreas saying here, we should have put the game to bed 100%. We had the chances. Again, the stats show that we had the chances, but if it takes Ramsey scoring, I don't even know if it's called a scorpion kick, I think. If it takes one of those chances to go in, it's not really great when you can't really just find the net simply. Well, at least me, Phil, Reedy and Jake in the office and a few of the Leicester fan crew have said the goals we're scoring, they're quite nice set-piece goals, well worked, tiki-taka football, 1-2. And it's great when it comes off, once a game, but apart from that, we're trying too much. We're trying to play like we're the better team and like the players are better, and we're going to come away from the game winning these games. But it's not 100%. We needed to be a bit more, like say, less arrogant, and that's what Cifuentes is saying. Hopefully, he can do that. Michael is saying the owner and the board don't want us to win. Well, I disagree to some extent. I'm interested to see what you mean by that, but they do want us to win. They don't want us to lose. No owner would want a club to lose. Most of them wouldn't, and definitely not top and the board behind it. They wouldn't want us to lose because they make less money at the end of the day. It's business. If we lose, they're making less money, lad. It ain't good for us if we're not winning. It ain't good for us if we're not up there. It's not good if we're not in the Premier League. You look at it, it's financially costing the club and top his own money. He doesn't want it to happen, trust me. He wants us to be playing well, and he wants to be turning a profit on the club, which he isn't. Which is why he's probably going to sell at some point, especially if we don't get promoted this year. He probably doesn't want to have the battle of going up and down, and parachute payments, fighting to get back up, signing players that we can't really afford, and then having to go for a points deduction system twice in the championships. We've got players on way too much money. It's an ordeal that they don't want to happen. So they would rather us just win, but selling is probably a close option. Let's see a few more comments here. Gary, we've not got anyone who can score. Yeah, you can tell we're missing Jamie Vardy. That's no secret. It's not hard to hide that one. Mary saying White Fives was rubbish. He just stood there and watched the ball go into the net. Story of his life at Leicester at the moment, I'm afraid. He's not. He's a decent player on the ball. I've said it a few times. I don't think he's that good at actually defending because we find ourselves in a lot of one-on-one situations as well, where they're counter-attacking. God forbid a team counter-attacks. When a team does counter-attack, we fold. Even when there's 4 of our defenders there, we're just so used to not playing against counter-attacking football. Or, we've 2 years ago, we were the best team in the league that we weren't getting countered in the Championship. Last season, the teams were just better than us, so we weren't getting countered. We were just getting smacked around every game. So there wasn't much to counter. It's not like we were on the break. But this year, we are getting counter-attacked. Teams are finding out how to play against us. Let's see. It ain't good to give £100 million worth of players away. No, Michael, I absolutely agree with you as well. We've given away too much players free. That is bad business from the board, and they're probably not happy with themselves. So that they know that they've made blunders by doing that. Tielemans, Soonchu, there'll be so many more this season. Again, on paper, where we signed players like Daka for 25 million, he'll be going for free. Winks signed him for 10 million, paid him 80 to 100 grand a week for 3 years. He'll be gone with not much to show for it, unfortunately, other than helping us get promoted 2 seasons ago. But going a bit AWOL, drinking his spritz with his missus, rather than just spending one night a week at the club. Going back down to London. Anyway, it's another ordeal that we don't need to get into. Gary here, is the manager getting told who he can pick for the team? I don't know. I don't know how Cifuentes manages his team. Obviously, I don't think any of us know, unless we know him personally. I was saying that under Van Nistelrooy, that I think he's kind of coming just to be a yes man, because when he came in, he did say he was going to have philosophy and that he didn't want to play passing football if it didn't suit the team. But after 3-4 weeks, scrap that. It was just back to we're playing okay football. We just need to win, kind of thing. And that for me just felt like someone's told him, listen, this is how we're going to play. You kind of just hear as the name brand kind of thing, And I don't think he was actually brought in to change anything, which is unfortunate. I don't think Cifuentes is the same, but he might get fatigued trying to say things and it just not going his way. And again, I'd say Cooper was trying to do that. He did try and play players who he felt was best and play them in a system he wanted to play, and it still consisted of passing football, and it was pulling out okay results in my eyes. But I think you could tell players didn't want him, and a lot of fans definitely didn't too. Let's get a few more comments out there. Michael E saying Wout Faes is SHT. Obviously, I'm not going to put it up there, but yeah, I think we can all agree he ain't the best. Well, some people might say he's okay, but I don't know. I think it's been out there that he need. I think the Belgium manager said you need to leave Leicester if you want to keep playing for Belgium. A random statement, because it should just be based on how well they're playing anyway. But again, how happy is he at Leicester other than the paycheck? Who knows? Matt saying here, we stopped playing in the second half, and yeah, that's kind of the story how we've been playing for all these draws. We're not playing a 90-minute game yet, I don't think. Even Swansea, we switched off, we conceded, and then somehow we have a great burst, a great attacking energy, and we scored 2 goals against them in the dying minutes of the game. But I don't really know what else to say on it, guys, to be honest with you. I think we're kind of in this vicious loop where the games are kind of merging. I couldn't tell you who we played 5 weeks ago because it's just been rinse, repeat, carbon copy. When you watch it on the telly or you go down live to the games or away to the games, could you guys actually remember any memorable moments other than Swansea? I mean, some of you might have even left Swansea then, because I know it's a decent trek from Wales. You might have even left at that point to miss the traffic. But I don't know. What do you guys think for this week? I'll leave you on that one. How many points do you think we'll get this week? How many points do you think we'll be on before Christmas? If you ask me, I think we'll be sat 6th to 5th. I think we're going to kind of mellow out. I think we're going to pick up some more wins, but I also think in the process we are still going to have this structure where it fatigues us, and we're not going to play to the best football we can. In my eyes, I think we're going to start drawing some more of these games when it's busier, because you're going to have to rotate the players a lot more. And I think, 5th to 6th by Christmas time. I think it's okay. I don't know how many of you expect us to go top 2. I know a few people did. When we came straight back down, excuse me, I looked at the team and I looked at the system. So we got Cifuentes in, and nothing against him. I just knew we were going to play that passing football style. That's what he likes, and that's what everyone at the club likes. So 5th to 6th, I think I said we might finish even below that, outside the top 6 we've had at the start of the season, and it could still very well happen if we pick up injuries. You look at some players like Ramsey, who got a red card. How impactful was he? He scored against Portsmouth. How impactful can he be in the future games if Jordan James gets injured? What do we do then? We're not really got much backup for it, because Samari Skip don't look up to the challenge. Winks seems okay, but people saying missing against Portsmouth again. Like I said, he might seem okay, but how bothered is he to be okay? How bothered is he to be playing the football we need him to play? Who knows? And yeah, we'll end it on Andy's comment. Need to get PSR out the way and start building from that. I 100% agree. I would 100% want them to just give it us now and get it over and done with and go, listen, we've had a 9 points deduction. We just build on it from there. At the end of the day, 9 points ain't that much, if that's what it is, rumoured anyway. It could be more, could be less, who knows. But 9 points ain't that much. It's just 3 wins. And when you look back at the draws we're getting, if we get a points deduction, we'll go, well, we should have beat Portsmouth. We should have oh God, like I said, they're blending Oxford. I know we had a red card, but those kind of teams, where we're just drawing every week, we'll be looking at them and go, well, we should have beat them, and we didn't. So that's kind of what's cost us a little bit. But onward and upward, we're not losing the games, so it's still positivity. Trying not to be too negative on air, but it's tough because I think we're falling into a little bit of a trap, a little bit of a system that could, bite us in the backside a little bit. I hope it doesn't. I hope we do start playing some, I wouldn't even say playing better football. I just hope we start finding the end of the bloody net, because that's what we're not doing. So I guess that's what I'll leave it on. Let's see what we can do this week. If we can get 2 wins this week, it's back on a nice track. I would just like to see some consistent wins, some consistent goals, some good goals. But yeah, like I say, it doesn't have to be so practiced. We don't have to be passing into the net. Sometimes it's nice if it's just, even if it's a sloppy goal, that wins us the game. It's like, it's championship defending, but that's what got us a goal. At the end of the day, a win's a win. So let's hope we can do it, and we'll keep the faith. Cheers all.